Hello, my fellow glorious Gaians. Thank you for joining me, Amber, on my channel, Guidance Through Gaia, where I do tarot pick-a-card readings. If this is your first time, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for giving me another chance to read your energy today. I do offer personal readings. If you're interested in my services, just send me an email. My contact information is in the description box down below, and I'll send you my list of services. So today we are going to be doing a suggestion that was provided by a viewer. They wanted to see what their future spouse or their future long-term partner would have as a first impression of them. So we did the first impression you would have of your future partner. Now we're going to be looking at what their first impression of you is, okay? So we're going to be mimicking the same style of the reading that we did for that one. I will say, I was feeling a little self-conscious about the reading because, like, you know, there were some energies that kind of came out that I hadn't expected. And, you know, just to put this into perspective, this is a first impression. So whether this person thinks you're absolutely gorgeous and stunning, or maybe it's like one of those enemies to lovers romances where y'all can't stand each other at first. Like, this is just what they think of you from the very first moment they meet you, right? And like their shallow interactions. Of course, if this is like alarming you and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to come off like this to somebody. First of all, I would say ask your friends and your acquaintances and your coworkers maybe to verify like their first impression of you, because if there are no similarities, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if there are some similarities, you may, and you don't feel comfortable, like, oh my God, I don't want to seem like this kind of person. Those could be things that we could work on. Otherwise, also, like, this is about your future spouse, you know, and if this is the perception that they have of you when you first meet them, then we're still going into an energy of like, you guys meet, you get to know each other, you fall in love, rest is history, right? Of course, if you don't want to be with a person, you know, we can always change that trajectory. But we have 3 piles here. We have the giraffe. Now, this is apparently, from what I gathered, it's like fake turquoise, but we're still treating it as a gem. She's still beautiful. I got these from the Minnesota State Fair. And then we have the, I'm going to pronounce this so incorrectly, brachiated jasper for group number 2, and it's a bunny. And then for group number 3, we have the serpentine stegosaurus here. And this is going to be the first impression. Then we're going to use tarot to look at the details of like why they get that first impression, and then kind of how their impression of you, their perspective of you evolves or stays the same over time. And then we'll be using some oracle cards to look at maybe kind of like what messages they're getting from the universe about you or about the connection, right? And if you feel like the message applies to you as well, take it. So go ahead, choose your pile or piles, and I will see you there. Bye. All right, group number 1, if you chose the fake turquoise giraffe, I think it's a giraffe, then this is going to be your reading about your future spouses or long-term partners, life partners, first impression of you. When I look at the giraffe, I think of it as kind of like a strange creature, an anomaly, right? So I get the feeling that that's kind of how your person sees you at first. There's something unique about you, something different, something that really stands out. It could be your personality, it could be your height, your body proportions, or the way that you dress, the way that you present yourself, but we'll look more into that with these cards here. So we have card number 17 with Solar Flare and Activate in reverse. We have card number 38 with the Tamer, and the affirmation is, I believe my cause to be just without anger at those who disagree. We have card number 51 with the Flame, but it did come out in reverse, and I'll take it that way. We have card number 9 with How Teachable Are You? And we have card number 7 with Inner Truth. So 7s could be significant. I'm also seeing like we have 17 here, and this is technically 51, but being Roman numerals, the way it's presented, it almost kind of looks like the mirrored version a little bit of the number 17 here. So like 17, 17, 11, 77, 77, 11, 71, 71, that could be significant. I'm also thinking of like, for some reason, Lily, that could be confirmation for somebody. The first word that I'm getting here is spunky. Okay, we have the solar flare activate card, but it's in reverse, and that can talk about like when solar flares are experienced in charts, it's a time of activity, it's a time of momentum. It can talk about when things like revolutions occur, right? Or big social changes. But here we have it in reverse. So that could talk a little bit about stagnation, but the book also warns to make sure that we're not behaving kind of out of pocket or reacting before we have a better capacity to understand the situation. So it gives me like a little bit of restless energy. And then we have the Tamer here, which is talking about approaching situations without judgment, calming the environment. So first and foremost, I do see that your future spouse has the impression that you're kind of a soft soul a little bit, and especially with How Teachable Are You? There's this part of you that, I don't know if they see you in like a group setting, or they see you having maybe a discussion that would normally be heated, or they, how you calm a situation, like if you're waiting tables, for instance, or you're doing some sort of customer service work and they happen to see you where there's a disgruntled customer, and you're able to just kind of like let the stress roll off your back, kind of ease the tensions. That you may have a very strong placement in your Mercury, but they see you as somebody who has the capacity to be gentle, who probably is very gentle in many respects, maybe like a gentle giant. We've got this winged person going down to touch this goose or this swan, and I don't know about you, I would not touch a goose or a swan. Like, I haven't really had too much experience with swans, but geese can be vicious. Like, that's just, to me, begging to be bit. And it's almost kind of like you're able to approach a tense or dangerous situation and calm it down. But there may be a struggle there for you, okay? I think this person looks at you and they can see that maybe you have a sense of like agitation, that you are a little bit stressed, or that you're frustrated, or you're annoyed. Could even be like if the two of you are flirting, like, you just start talking and you just meet and you're kind of doing that playful banter, right? Like, they might see that you have a little bit of spitfire to you, that you have playfulness, that you're witty, maybe a little cutthroat, but that you also have this gentle side to you. This side where you really do want to maintain peace and harmony. They could see you as somebody who maybe plays a little bit with fire. Somebody who isn't afraid to approach stressful situations or have difficult conversations. But at the end of the day, I feel like they recognize that they don't see you in your full power. You could be somebody who does have like social anxiety. Maybe you do play more of a mediator situation. and they can tell, like, there are thoughts running through your head, that you're getting frustrated, that you want to speak your mind, but that you're holding back for whatever reason. There could also just be this, I feel like they see you as somebody, whether you see yourself as this or not, they see you as somebody who has a lot of passion and a lot of fire and a lot of creativity, but they feel like it's being snuffed in that moment. You know, you're having to hold back, or other people aren't giving room for it. Or that maybe you don't feel the confidence to express that, right? So in a situation where, for instance, if the both of you meet because you're going to university and you're both attending the same course and it's a lecture hall, and it's kind of like they can tell maybe that you have things that you want to contribute to the conversation, but you might not feel confident, or maybe other people are being selected to provide like their insight and you're kind of being overlooked. You guys have to do a group project or whatever. Or maybe this is like they meet you guys at work and they know that you have ideas. They know that you have a creative approach. Somehow they can sense like, or they think they sense this restless energy, but maybe other people aren't taking it into consideration, or you're not taking the initiative. You could be holding yourself back. They see, I think, a strong personality in you is their perspective, their first impression, but a strong personality that's not being given center stage. I think they also do see you as somebody who is very insightful. You're probably somebody who observes people a lot. They could catch you people watching, right? But you seem to notice the things people are saying without really speaking it, you know, or being able to anticipate someone's needs, or just having a good sixth sense, like being able to pull someone back from the curb, even though the sign says walk, but you've just got like, for some reason, like you're able to pull somebody back because you sense that a car is approaching and or is going to make like a turn, not considering that there are pedestrians trying to cross the street, and they see how quickly you're able to react. There's knowledge that you seem to possess, at least in their first impression of you, that they don't really see in the average everyday person. They think that you do have a lot on your mind. You have a lot of intelligence. You have a lot of insight. Maybe you just don't feel confident enough to express it. Or maybe, you know, at that point in time, it isn't really the moment to get deeper into it. The two of you could easily have a conversation that maybe goes from like light and playful and banter, a little passionate, a little flirty, to something more deeper. And they're just, I feel like, incredibly impressed by that, group number one, where they see that you have depth, you have insight, you're very observant, you have a lot of knowledge, whether it's just like you're super intelligent, or they know that you've spent a lot of time researching these things or experiencing things, or just that you have a natural curiosity. And along with that concept of a natural curiosity, like we have the how teachable are you? They see you, I think, as somebody who wants to learn, who is inquisitive, and that's possibly why, even if you're not asking questions directly, that could be what they think you're observing for, right? Like you listen to the way people talk, you observe how people interact with each other, how they present themselves, or, you know, you're watching the events going on, whatever it is. Could be a presentation, it could be a festival. And you're just taking in the information. So they see you as somebody who is really inquisitive, somebody who wants to broaden your perspective, who wants to learn more. They could also see you as somebody who is very eager to teach other people things, right? Like, I love just random facts. So if I can talk about the Great Emu War of 1932 in Australia, like, absolutely, I will slip that into a conversation, or talking about languages and the little that I know. Some people are very fascinated by facts, or they kind of use like factual information as their gateway to conversation. But they see you as a teacher, somebody who wants to spread their knowledge. They could also be looking at you wondering, like, this very question: how teachable are you? It's giving me the energy of where they feel like maybe they could be your mentor, or feeling kind of like, not in a condescending way, but like, look how cute group number 1 is. Whether you're male, female, somewhere in between, neither side of the spectrum, they're like, look at them, like, with their nerdy little knowledge, or like kind of holding their tongue, or their playful banter. Like, I could teach them a thing or two. I think this person finds mental stimulation very attractive, or at least engaging. Like, even if they don't look at you as somebody who they find physically attractive at first, or maybe if they're not concentrating on like looking for a romantic partner, they could just value connections where like intellect plays a large role. There could also be, I feel like, for some of you, a sexual aspect of it. I do get a little bit of like a dom sub kind of vibe from this impression, where they might be wondering, like, I wonder if group number 1 is into that. They could be some form of dom and have a curiosity, think that maybe you might make a good sub. But overall, it's just like, to me, their first impression of you is that you don't fully express yourself, that you kind of reduce your own shine for the comfort or benefit of others, but they see you as somebody highly creative, highly intelligent, highly capable, and kind of like this feeling of like they want to nurture that, or they would be curious to see what you would be like in an element where you were more comfortable and free to show that part of yourself. So let's look into why they think this way. What gives them this perspective? I'm not using the romance tarot like I did for the last video of this, just because I used these cards for the video, the shadow work video, and it's just been a while since I've used them. Sometimes I feel like I neglect some of my decks, so then it's like, all right, guys, I'm going to give you some playtime. I'm going to give you some airtime. I know some people treat their decks like they're sentient. I don't. But it's just kind of like refreshing to use different decks occasionally. These ones are larger, so I may have to adapt for the screen view. But anyway, let's get into it. Why does this person develop this first impression of group number 1? The Page of Mirrors, the Healer in reverse. The Ten of Stones in reverse. the minstrel, the King of Stones in reverse. Let's get clarifiers. We've got the Four of Scrolls in reverse. It's the Four of Swords. We've got the Emperor upright underneath the Ten of Stones. We've got the Four of Mirrors in reverse underneath the King of Stones in reverse. And then we've got the Five of Spirals in reverse. Okay, so why does this person see you in this manner at first? This person could be older than you, or they just may have more experience in things like debate or more prominence in socializing in like the community that you're a part of or whatnot. Because when I see the Page of Mirrors in reverse, that signals that somebody in this connection is likely younger. And, you know, we're talking about emotions here and creativity and expression and, you know, how you're the tamer, right? Which makes me feel like that relates pretty closely to the healer. Now, what I see with this is the healer being in reverse with the Four of Scrolls. That to me signifies that there was, when they meet you, when they first come into contact with you, they're observing you or they're talking with you, there's an opportunity for you to express something, and it seems like you hold it back. So somebody says, you know, somebody, if you work in customer service, right, says something rude to you or is short with you. That's an opportunity where you could, if you wanted to, you could snap back. You could give them like a glare. You could say something rude. You could have an attitude. But this person is observing that you don't do that. You take a pause, actually. And you might have like a visible reaction. Like, you know, your muscles tighten up or your body posture changes from more relaxed to like more rigid. And they can sense that. Like, they're probably a very observant person as well. And they could see this just kind of even in passing, right? And be like, ooh, I wonder what the drama is. What's going to happen? What's going on with that person over there? It could also be that if you guys are like communicating directly, there's a break before you get into anything too emotional, okay? So they might not just see the opportunity for you to be more boisterous about your opinion or more fired up. It might be kind of like a situation where it's on the brink of that moment. You know, the kind of conversation you guys are having where it starts to get deeper, or, sorry, my foot really itches. I do not want to have to like spray bug spray every time I take my dogs for a walk. But I wear ankle socks. But when they form their first impression of you, things might not go as deeply. So they might feel that you're more restrained, more calm, collected, maybe more passive or submissive. Maybe you guys are like chatting for the night, and before things get too heavy, too intense, not like necessarily sexually, but like too deep, it's kind of like, oh, now I gotta go to work, or I just got off of break, or I'm gonna go to bed now. It's just kind of like there's this pause that interferes with their ability to see completely how a situation is resolved or how you express yourself. We've got the Ten of Stones in reverse. Okay. With the Emperor. So there's a situation, I feel like, where they come across either like they're witnessing you, where maybe things aren't going according to plan. And you do take the initiative, or you stand firm in yourself. So we talked here about like having a fire, and like if you were in, at work or involved, in class or whatever. And we talked about how maybe other people weren't listening to you or giving you the opportunity to speak. But it could be also too that your main focus in this situation is less on you showcasing your individual talents and more on aligning people together, right? If there's any type of discord in the group for school or in the work environment, you could be somebody who, okay, I'm getting more now. You could be somebody who is just trying to stabilize the foundation. And this person sees that and they're like, well, that's a great resource, but you're not really showing how you shine. I feel like also they're able to see how you're able to hold your composure in situations that are collapsing underneath you. Okay? Situations where other people might be freaking out or might be frustrated or might be clueless, and you're just holding your own like, I'm fine. You do have a commanding sense of authority in whatever situation this is, even if you're not trying to take it. It's just kind of like your calm, your collective behavior stands out to this person. And it could be too that like this is an unfamiliar territory for them. This is a new restaurant. This is a new job. This is a new neighborhood. And so nothing there is really familiar, but there's something that really draws them to you. There's something commanding about your presence, something that really stands out to them. And then the minstrel, the King of Stones in reverse with the Four of Mirrors in reverse. I feel like what that tells me is this is kind of an impression that happens in passing to a certain extent. Like they're only able to witness a snapshot. And so they aren't really able to observe more. So they don't know what you're like outside of work, right? Or what you're like outside of class. Or you guys are matching on a dating app, but the conversation might be very technical at first. Maybe a little bit of like flirtation and stuff like that, but there still might be some kind of like what do you want to call it? I don't know if you call it like an unease, but like the conversation might just be very, like a lot of small talk at first. Sometimes conversations flow really easily between two people. Like you find out like right away you have the same sense of humor, or you like a lot of the same things, you communicate the same way, and it's just like an instant bond. And sometimes it's harder to get to that bond. It's just kind of like you might be pushing buttons trying to figure out, okay, which one makes group one light up? Like, how do I connect best with group number one? And I don't think that they're able to figure that out at first. That can sometimes just be awkwardness in communication, or like hesitancy to allow people to get close to us. And then overall they see like that you're not combative. There's a situation where you could be combative and you're choosing not to. You're choosing to be like solution oriented. You're in this situation, you're a problem solver. They could also see that maybe, and this might be because you express it, or this might be because they witness it. They see that you just don't really like confrontation. You might shy away from it. Trying to mediate might be your natural response. Trying to suppress negative emotions might be your natural response, so that like you don't have to worry about getting into an argument with somebody. And they could too think that like it's just easy talking to you, or being in your presence. Like even if the conversation is kind of awkward or whatever, I would say that in an instance like that, feeling as if it's not difficult to talk to you is more so about like, okay, the conversation might be awkward, but I don't feel like I'm being judged, or I see that group number one is still entertaining this conversation with me. Like they're not blocking me. They're not like ghosting me. Like maybe we don't have this instant connect, but they're still willing to put an effort. So let's see the evolution, or the reaffirming of their impression of you over time. We've got the Two of Stones. We've got the World in reverse. And we've got the Three of Scrolls in reverse. Okay. They do see you as, I know a lot of readers interpret the Two of Stones upright as still being kind of like a symbol of imbalance. To me, that's the Two of Stones in reverse. Maybe I'm crazy for that. I don't know. But at the very least, they see you as somebody who is trying to create balance. They do see you as, I think, somebody who is grounded, somebody who makes decisions from what they think is the most practical viewpoint. And so I feel like that does kind of reaffirm that, hey, yeah, there's this part of group one that's really fiery and passionate, but they don't act on that all the time. They try to do things that are going to create substantial change, things that have foundation. And I think that you could be somebody that they feel brings a stronger sense of foundation into their life. I'm not really feeling like the person's energy themselves is like chaotic or anything. I think they have that stability for themselves, but they appreciate having somebody else in their life who is also trying to be stable. They might have felt like they had to carry that in the weight of their previous relationships. And so having somebody who, there might be gaps in between stability. We see this bear here, like having to kind of step over this break between the rocks, but they see you as somebody who is careful, who is cautious, who does try to approach situations with a little bit of like trepidation and foresight. The world in reverse, this is a little bit of loneliness to me on one hand. They may feel that you see yourself as incomplete and that you try to reconcile that, like you try to be okay with that. Like, look how she's kind of looking down at the world. Like, just kind of like, it just is who I is. It is who I, it is what it is. It is who I am. I don't know how to fill that gap. But so there's a little bit of like somberness there where they feel like you don't see your full potential. And that, but the thing about it is too, I think they see you as somebody who always has room to grow. Like, you're not, even if I could see there may be a stubborn energy in here. I'm not necessarily getting that on your part. Especially since we have somebody who's always curious about learning, but the world is represented by what? Like all the fixed signs, I think, which are incredibly hard to move. Very set in their ways a lot of times. But even if you do have an aspect of like that about yourself, this person loves that you're always willing to grow, that you're always willing to expand, that you have room in your mind and in your heart and in your physical realm to have new and different experiences. As far as like what you feel like could be missing, I want to see what that is. What their perspective of that is. The Chariot. You might have some prominent Sagittarius placements where maybe you feel antsy. Now, the Chariot is in Sagittarius. I don't remember what the Chariot is, but the Chariot's about, I don't think it's, I have a book around here somewhere, but I am not going to go digging for it. I want to say the Chariot's Cancer, but I don't quite remember. But the Chariot's all about travel, so that's why I think of Sagittarius energy. But you could always be searching for that missing piece, right? They think that you're always looking to other things. Maybe you have a little bit of like a restless spirit. You might have the habit of like changing interests or changing your routines, changing the way you dress. Feeling decisive about something and then indecisive the next minute. They see you as like a very driven person, but it's just kind of like the drive to fill the gap. And you might not know necessarily how to take control of your life. Because the Chariot is somebody who is paving the way to their own desires. Like, they're not necessarily considering what other people want. They're very focused on what they want. And so you might struggle to know what it is exactly that you want, who you want to be, what you want out of life, what the meaning of life is to you. And they see you as somebody who has gone through a lot of pain in your life, a lot of betrayal, but that you're healing from it. That you are somebody who works on yourself, who tries not to let the pain from the past dictate how you feel about yourself, how you engage with other people, and how you see the world. They see you, there's a lot of innocence kind of in this, where it's just, I'm getting a little choked up, where it's just like, you get this feeling of like, I'm trying to live life the best way that I know how. Like, I'm trying my best. And, oh my gosh. So I think, how their perspective changes about you, they're spot on, I think, about a lot of the things they perceived about you in the very beginning, but they start to learn more of the depth. I think that's where the evolution comes in. They start to see more of like what your thought processes are, wounds that affected you in the past, how you handle them, how you struggle maybe with like your own value or your own place in the world while still trying to be positive. So what messages will they be getting about you in this relationship? And like I said, if these ones resonate with you as well, take them. Take them. Take them and run. It is safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. They do think that you're a safe person. Group number 1, they see through your actions and through your interactions, they see how genuine you are. And I think this is something that they want to prove to you as well, especially with this like 3 of Scrolls in reverse. Like, they want to show you that it's okay to love. It is safe to love. All right, what messages will they be getting about the relationship with group number 1? Fine, we'll take them. Strength. The power of love is like a magnet drawing souls together. So they may feel a very strong urge to connect with you, and I think overall they just see you as being a strong person, especially your strength for love, your strength for kindness, your strength for compassion. Even if you do have a little bit of a temper, like, your desire to show people love or consideration is stronger, I think, than your ability to probably hold a grudge or to be cruel. And that's not something that's very common in people. Observe, notice all the noteworthy things in your relationships. I think they recognize that it's going to be important for them to, first of all, see how you behave in a relationship, especially if this person has had any concerns about falling in love again or entering into a relationship. They may be somebody who takes their time and just really tries to get to know you and see what you're like. But I think they'll also feel as if it's important to affirm to you how much they value you, right? Like, as a friend, as a partner, as a person, so that you don't feel like your efforts go unnoticed. And then past life, we reunite with our loved ones over and over in different lives. They may feel a past life connection to you. And that's something that you might experience with this person again, like as well in your own situation. There could be a deep soul connection here. It could also be that, like, there are aspects of you that remind them of previous partners. Not that they're, like, trying to use you as a placeholder for a previous partner, but there could be qualities that they really cherished in relationships that didn't work out that they see in you, right? And they're thankful that they were able to find that again in somebody, while also respecting and honoring the fact that you are a different person and you're going to be bringing different experiences to a connection. It could be too that like this is a situation where there's maybe a missed connection at first, and so they see you and they're like, oh my God, it's group number 1 again. Like, I never thought I was going to see them again, or I never thought I was going to hear from them again. And it's kind of like they get this opportunity to investigate more and connect with you on a deeper level than they did in the past. Okay, and one final message. $1441. Unique skills. Life goals, mission, sense of self, honesty, important projects. It's that time of intense self-development. Focus your mind on your craft. You already have what it takes to succeed, but practice makes you a master. It also serves to find your true purpose. Leveling up in your career business is a priority right now. This is what they could be doing at this point in time. And this could be what like leads them to you, right? Conversely, like you could also be working on your career, on your craft, or finding your purpose in life. And, you know, I think if you've really felt called to do that, or, you know, them feeling called to do that, that just leads you both to circumstances where the two of you meet. And if you see, you know, 1441, or like the combination of sevens, like 1771, anything like that, that's kind of your confirmation that like, hey, you're on the right path. Like you're getting closer. Okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. So group number 1, I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be a part of the family and haven't done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. If you're interested in a personal reading, just send me an email. My contact information is in the description box down below. Send me an email and I'll send you the list of my services. Bye. Hello, group number 2. If you chose the brachiated Jasper Rabbit, this will be your reading on the first impression your future spouse or life partner has on you. Now, I think I mentioned it in the intro. It might have just been I mentioned it in the first pile. This is the very first impression of you, okay? So, when we're looking at that, it could be something favorable, it could be something unfavorable. But we're just seeing what the very initial perspective of you this person has. And then we'll look into why they have it and how that changes or remains the same at a significant point in the relationship. And then some messages that they'll be getting about you that maybe you might also resonate with. But this is just kind of like meant to be lighthearted and fun. If you find that this first impression concerns you at all, you know, maybe consult with the people in your life to see like what their impressions of you are, kind of maybe the energy you give off, because sometimes we aren't aware of the energy that we give off. But if you find that their perspectives of you, especially like from the very beginning, or like if they can just see the different sides of you doesn't really match this, then I wouldn't worry about it too much, right? Regardless, like if this is what brings you and your future spouse into being, like it might not even be worth changing, but it's a fun exercise to kind of see how other people view us. We hope for the best, but we never know. I've heard of plenty of healthy relationships, blossoming relationships, loving relationships where people like weren't vibing with each other at first, or there may have been like, you know, an enemies to lovers kind of vibe. But we're going to see what we get with that. You know, when I think of the rabbit, I think of someone cuddly and soft, and innocent, playful, fertile. But we'll see how that plays into the reading. So we've got card number 39 in reverse with first house and arrival. We've got card number 13, the initiator. I overcome resistance and do what must be done now. we've got card number 5 with the Orphan. We've got card number 26 with Letting Go. And we've got card number 15 with Immense Growth. So, a couple of things right off of the bat. 13 is half of 26. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but there could be like a significant age gap here, or maybe multiples of numbers like 12, 24, 15, 30, what might have some significance to you. The number 5 here makes me think of the Hierophant, which does talk about things like marriage and contracts, but also tradition, sometimes strict rules. And this, I can't remember what, is this like I think this is like the perfect ratio. The golden ratio. Thank you. The golden ratio. So it's almost like there's a perfect balance here of something. I do feel that this person perceives you as kind of intense. And, we have this card here talking about arrival, the first house, how we show up. But then right beside it, we have the initiator. So it's kind of like, I feel like this person sees you as somebody who can be assertive. I also am getting the feeling of like somebody they do not want to mess with. They're kind of intimidated by you, group number 2. You may have RBF, which for those of you who don't know that initialism, it's resting bitch face. You may seem to them unapproachable, or somebody who has high expectations, somebody who is potentially like really powerful, really opinionated, strong. And I think it's going to make them nervous. This makes me think of, so when we're looking at these cards and we're looking at this bunny, and I talked about how it's like cute and adorable. Like, have you ever watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail? There's a scene where there are people who are trying to discourage the knight from like going in and seeking out this dangerous creature. And it turns out it's a bunny, right? So he's not taking it very seriously. And the bunny straight up attacks him, draws blood, like it is a vicious killer. So this person is getting this vibe from you, right? Where they're just like, group 2 looks cute. Group 2 looks sweet. Group 2 looks friendly, but I feel like there's something dangerous underneath that exterior. The song that came to mind when I saw the Orphan card was from 9 Inch Nails, and it's just this line where it's like, do you bite the hand that feeds you? And I think that the line is like, do you lay down on your knees or something? It almost feels like this snake right here, which we can take as like a symbol of transformation. I know a shake has let something go. It's shed its skin. It's grown. But in the circle, we can talk also about cycles, about completion. There's this flower that this snake is fixated on, almost as if it's protecting it, right? And then there's this hand that's coming out with an open palm, kind of like showing, hey, like you don't need to be afraid of me. And so this person, I think, sees you as somebody who is very guarded. And especially if this is a connection where maybe the two of you are meeting up for a date, they could sense that there are some boundaries placed. They can sense that there are some defenses up. You know, there's something intense about you, group number 2. And it's almost like they see the gentleness in you as this flower and like the exterior of you as this snake. And it's kind of like, how are you going to treat this flower? Not you, but them. Like they're thinking like you're observing them and like, how are you going to treat this flower? How are you going to handle it? Are you going to be nice to it? Are you going to water it? Are you going to prune it? Are you going to be delicate? Because if you are, we can hang. You can sit at my table. But if you're not, I'm going to fucking bite your hand. Like, don't think I won't come for you. They could see you also as a loner. Maybe you're in a group setting. Well, you're like in an environment where there are other people who are very obviously like spending time together, friends and families. But you could be someone that they notice is kind of to themselves. You don't seem to be with other people. And they could be having this desire, like this intrigue, maybe because they're just more sociable, or maybe there's something specific about you where they're like, you know, I kind of want to go over and talk to group number 2, see what's up. But I think they're also intimidated. Because even if you're not meaning to, you might be giving off this energy of like, don't come near me. Or like, I'm not comfortable being around people. So like I was telling my best friend, you know, like, I'm going out, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to put myself in new places, around new people. Like in one of my videos, I've mentioned where if we're looking for partnerships and we're not finding success in that, it can be helpful to change our environments. I'm like, I'm doing that. And then I had to admit, like, maybe I don't look the most approachable. Or like if we're hiking, like if I'm on a hiking trail and it's too populated, if I find like a secluded trail, I'll go on that. Cause like, I don't want to be around people. I just want to find the one person I want to be around more than others. And so they might kind of sense that. And if not from you, maybe it's just their own insecurity, right? Like, I don't know if would I be bothering group number 2? Do they want to be alone? Maybe they just really like being alone. I don't know. Like, would I be upsetting them by approaching them? If this is somebody that you meet in like a natural setting of yours where you're consistent, like, you know, a university, a job, a typical hangout that you go to, like, they may just notice that you kind of keep to yourself a lot. And sometimes that can make it hard to approach a person because a person may not know why. Like, why are they always by themselves? Why don't they seem to be like interacting with other people, aren't they? Like, I had a girl in in middle school who, when we were graduating to go into high school, she was like, Amber, I used to think you were such a bitch because you always sat by yourself. And I was like, girl, I was just shy. And she's like, well, I know that now. But like, me being shy and being scared of interacting with other people caused like a negative perspective for a while until she got to better know me. So as an adult, I've learned, like, when I'm interacting with new people, you know, to be more upfront and be like, hey, if I'm not talking a lot, if I seem distant, or even if I'm just saying like weird stuff that doesn't make any sense or whatever, it's because I'm nervous and I have social anxiety. And a lot of people really respect that and understand that and can actually relate to it. Now, like, if you're out going to like a coffee shop or a zoo or somebody and you're by yourself, like, obviously you're not going to be walking into the environment going like, hey guys, if you want to talk to me, it's cool. Just know I'm shy. Like, maybe we need those, you know how this is kind of getting off topic, but this might be kind of, I feel like this could be something like similar to a conversation you and this person have down the road where you're kind of talking about the awkwardness of meeting, and they might be like, I feel like this thought comes from them, but it's like, you know how there are dogs people have the vests for, or like the leashes, and they'll indicate if they're friendly or not? Like, I feel like they're saying, group number 2, I wish you just would have had one of those vests. But on the same token, I feel like Oh, this person's like really chatty. I feel like it's also kind of significant to the strength of the connection, right? Because I think it allows you to see somebody who comes forth and puts in the work, you know, is sensitive to your needs, is communicative, is persistent, and I think it gives them the opportunity to take more of the initiative, because this is one thing that they're noticing about you. You're the initiator. Like, they're seeing there's something you're doing that where they get the first impression of like, you're taking control. And see how kind of despondent this person looks, and they've got this sword, but it's facing downward. And it's kind of like they're reaching out. And this card talks about taking steps because you know that's the way forward, that nothing just happens because you don't do anything, right? You understand that change comes from taking action. And it could be that the two of you have kind of like a preliminary conversation, right? They approach you and they start talking to you, and maybe at some point you open up like, yeah, I'm more of a homebody, but I'm really trying to get outdoors. And I'm kind of nervous around people, but like, I'm trying to put myself in positions where I have to grow. If this is like a work situation or like a school situation, they do see that you really put forth the effort. If you have to give like a presentation, they notice the work that you put into it and the attention to detail. If this is a work situation, they notice like you're very serious about your work. You're always to work on time. You're making sure you're taking your breaks. You're communicating clearly. If this is like a date situation, you might be the person who initiates the contact or is more of the driving force in the conversation. But they also see how you're kind of reserved, right? Almost like you're assessing them and you're just kind of like putting forward this challenge of like, what are you willing to offer? What effort are you willing to put forth into this connection? Like, you're not giving too much away. You're being practical. You're maybe taking initiative or just being direct, but also like you're keeping your distance. And then with this letting go card, you know, we have this woman, she's walking away from what looks like a graveyard, and there are these masked figures, and it looks like they're holding candles. You know, and that can represent to us like a situation where there wasn't change, a situation that was painful, a situation that caused a lot of hurt or confusion. And then we've got like this kind of Celtic cross symbol right here, almost as if she's embracing like faith, like she doesn't know what's going to happen by leaving this behind, but she's trusting that it's going to be better in the long run. They could see you in a situation where there's a lot of confusion, like maybe you're lost, you don't know where you're going. But regardless, I think this person does see or has this impression that there's this heaviness in you that you're trying to release. I'm going to get to this card in a second. This 15 card. But, you know, and it could be like the way that you dress. Like maybe if you dress in a more alternative style, or like if you dress in a way that signifies like maybe you're not the most confident. Could be just the way that you interact with people, but it's kind of like giving the impression of like, I'm trying my best. You know, there are ghosts from the past that are still kind of lingering, and it could just be your eyes. You know, they say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. And it could be that, you know, if the two of you do have a conversation, like this becomes part of the conversation. That, okay, hey, group number 2 has gone through some heavy stuff and they still might be struggling with it, but they're really putting their best foot forward. And they're really trying to trust that even if they can't see the journey ahead of them, that something better is coming. And like, look how she's eyeing that. She's kind of like eyeing that. Like, can I be that soft again? Can I be that version of myself? Can I ever open up that way to someone else again? Watching what this hand is doing, like, what are they going to do with it? How are they going to treat it? Like, do I have to bite them? Do I have to pull out the fangs and the venom? Or can I be soft? I'm sorry I'm laughing with this card, but with the immense growth, okay, the turkey vulture, I just keep hearing like, and this is not what they think of you. This is not what they think of you. But it's kind of ugly, but it's cute. They do not think you're ugly. But kind of like in this awkward phase, right? So you might have some unconventional features, or there just might be something that stands out about you where they're just kind of like, huh, that's a little unusual. But I like it. It's kind of cute. But I can't, with the way its little wings are. And it's like, oh God. But turkey vultures, like, they get a bad rap, right? Because they're scavengers. They pick up things that are dead. And so you see turkey vultures, and a lot of times people feel like it's a negative omen for themselves. But turkey vultures are so pivotal to the environment. You know, if they don't get rid of the dead carcasses, first of all, that's just nasty. You've got decay everywhere, and it's not going anywhere. Like, it's not really feeding anything if there's nothing there to clean it up. But also, like, it's preventing, like, disease and further decay from occurring. You know, the turkey vulture gains sustenance. It gains life from transmuting the death and decay. It's so important. And so I feel like with this immense growth, this person is really getting the impression, and it could even be a very spiritual one, right? Like where they just don't know how they know this, but they just feel like group number 2, they've been through some tough shit and they're not afraid to handle it. Maybe the two of you meet in therapy. You know, I don't know, like in group therapy maybe. Could be talking online. But I feel like either the two of you end up having a conversation where there's some heavy discussion and they realize, like, they learn, oh wow, group 2's just been through some crazy shit. Or else they just got this feeling. There's just this like spiritual connection between the two of you where they get this sense. But overall, like, I think they're very impressed with you. They're nervous. I think they're a little insecure. They're intimidated. But and they could view you as somebody who might be resistant to connecting with them. They're not sure if you'll accept them. But We'll see why they have this impression. If there's anything specific. And this can be, you know, things that you do that give them this impression, or things about you, or things from their own life, you know, that kind of create this impression about you. Also, Bunnicula. Bunnicula, if you never read Bunnicula, it was very interesting. It's about a vampire bunny that would go suck the juices out of vegetables. Eight of Scrolls in reverse. I feel like that means there is some sharing between the two of you, even early on. The Artiste, Queen of Stones. Oh, and the Eight of Spirals in reverse. Okay, for some of you, if you are an artist of any kind, you write stories, you do paintings, you do poetry, you're a content creator of some sort, they're able to see some of that. So it's kind of like, I just saw 2, 3, 4, 5. They're able to see some of that. It could even be like, just, you know, you do some things on TikTok, right? Like you get in the mood and you upload a selfie, and then you let the sound be selected by TikTok, and maybe it's like one of those sad or inspirational things, and you put it on and you upload it, and the person who's watching is just like, there's a reason why they selected that. This relates to something that they're feeling. Maybe there's a mutual follow here, and they see you like reposting like memes, sentimental quotes, your own art. And so they're able to see maybe that depth, right? And that's kind of the biggest impression that they're getting of you, because they may not even really be having conversations with you. They might just see you as like a figure that they're connected to online in some way, even if you guys live in like the same city or whatever. But they're seeing the deepest side of you, because that's kind of what's being put on their feed. That was really interesting. I didn't get that for anybody else. There is an opportunity to talk. And I feel like we have the Initiator here as their impression of you. It could be that you offer to talk with them, like, I don't know, there was a guy that DM'd me on TikTok like a week or so ago, and he wanted to know what I did for work. He was struggling with like his job, and he was frustrated. So I talked about it, and he's like, oh, well, I don't have a degree. And I'm like, you don't need a degree to be a CNA. Like, we're both in the United States. So I explained to him about the certification. And so he kind of like talked to me about what he was going through, and I tried to offer some solutions. Like, and it was fairly unprompted. But it could be that you give this person an opportunity to like offer some relief to them. I feel like more so though, like it would be kind of them approaching you and you just open up, right? It seems like you might have this guarded exterior, but when someone else takes the initiative, you don't hide yourself, right? Like, you are who you are, and that's interesting. Not that you're complaining to this person, or not that you're venting to them. You're just like, Maybe they approach you and they're like, are you okay? And, you know, you're just like, yeah, I've been having a stressful week or whatever. You know, my grandfather passed, and it's just been kind of hard to keep my focus. So it's kind of like by them approaching you, you open up about something more deep. Or it could be, you know, you guys are strangers who meet in public, and they're, you know, they make this conversation like, oh, yeah, I love coming to the zoo. And you're just like, yeah, I just feel so much at peace around animals. I've just really been trying to get out of the house more. I just feel like I need to try to put myself in situations where I'm in different kinds of environments, around different kinds of people. And I don't feel like this is off-putting for them at all. I think they're surprised by it because they might be more used to shallow conversations. And I think you're less guarded than what they thought you were going to be. And that you're deeper than what they thought that you would be. But there's this opportunity to like free yourself, or for them to free themselves. You know, it could be they free themselves from the anxiety of approaching you. Right? And look at this, the poet, the artiste and the poet, the King of Scrolls and the Queen of Stones. And it's interesting because these are two different suits, right? We've got the pentacles and coins, and then we've got the daggers, swords. There's something about you that they feel very connected to. They might be someone who's going through their own transition in life, or somebody who's struggling to also let go, or, you know, has had to let go of something, and they see you as kind of a counterpart in that. Whether you feel you actually are or aren't, once again, this is kind of what they're projecting onto you. And they could also share some similar interests or hobbies or fields, right? Being a content creator, liking the same kind of music, making music, writing poetry, painting pictures, writing stories. They do have some sort of kind of creativity. The two of you might bond over that. And it's interesting here, though. Okay. You know, we have a character here who writes, and then a character here who does like visual art. So it's kind of like this person is like, group 2 is able to create visually what I can only think of. There's something about you that I think is inspiring to them. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, they're skilled in their own ways. But there's something that you're doing that they wish they knew how to do. Or even like, say for instance, we'll go back to the TikTok thing, right? Like you take a video of yourself, you put a song behind it, and you caption it. And they see that video of yours and they're like, holy shit, that's exactly how I feel. And maybe they just didn't know that other people could feel that way, or maybe they weren't able to completely conceptualize it. There was like a piece missing, and it was like running across that video of yours kind of made it click for them, right? Like, oh my God. So for instance, 'cause I just did this, you know, there was this TikTok trend where it's like, look up my theme song or whatever. or my song or something, and that's your theme song. So I did that. And it was this song where it was like, I'm just so tired of walking eggshells. Can't walk on eggshells. Don't feel good. Can't be myself. And I mean, it's a song, and it was really cool. It was the first time I'd heard that song, and I like put that down and I captioned it with things like, remember that relationships in your life are supposed to bring you more peace than they do anxiety, or something along those lines. Because I'm just thinking back to like my previous relationships, because there's been more than one, where I felt anxious all the time. I felt miserable all the time. And like, that's not normal. And sometimes we forget that. So it's kind of like putting that out there in the ether to remind people like, hey, if there are relationships in your life that are creating more negativity than positivity, that's abnormal. Like, that's not right. And the 8 of Spirals in reverse can talk about things progressing kind of slowly. The 6 of Spirals in reverse. You might not express any interest in taking this further with this person, especially like with this arrival in reverse. You may not open up and be as like carefree. You might still kind of have this suspicion, and you might not express an interest in communicating with them anymore. And or there may be gaps in between the two of you meeting and communicating. It's just kind of something progressing at a slower pace and kind of feeling like, I haven't figured group number 2 out. So there are going to be some challenges with you that they're really not going to know how to face. And that I think could be part of the reason, like, this could be necessary, right? Necessary so that, like we talked about, you see somebody who's actually willing to put in effort, and necessary for them so that they actually develop the confidence and the motivation to express themselves, to pursue something, someone, to, have courage. But it's kind of like there's a slowness or an interference that creates a full understanding of you. It's like there's something about you that they can't grasp. They don't have all the information. So how does their perspective of you change or remain over time? We've got the 9 of Spirals in reverse. We've got the 7 of Scrolls in reverse. So the 9 of Spirals is up, right? The 6 of Scrolls. Let's get some clarifiers for those. We've got the 7 of Mirrors in reverse, the 9 of Mirrors. Oh, geez. And the 6 of Scrolls. The Ace of Spirals, excuse me, under the 6 of Scrolls. Oh, look at that. The Weaver. The Queen of Scrolls. They end up seeing you as somebody who is very nurturing and compassionate, because I don't think that they notice this right away. Their fixation primarily is on the perception that, like, you're a little distant, you're suspicious of others, that you're working on your personal growth. But then with this Weaver, the Queen of Scrolls, right? They really see how nurturing you can be. They see how much love and compassion and care you have in you. So one thing that they see, and I feel like this reaffirms some of their opinions of you, but also like just clarifies it even further. It looks like they see you as somebody who has worked really hard to clear illusions, right? Like you're trying to look at things at face value. Which makes them, I think, understand that in the past you may have been somebody who was an idealist and somebody who allowed yourself to be blindsided, who tried to find deeper meaning in things instead of taking them for what they really were, putting more value, for instance, into words than in actions. And you've worked really hard to become somebody who doesn't do that, who says, okay, I'm going to judge you by how you treat me and not by what you say, not by what fantasy I want to indulge in. In fact, I'm not going to indulge in a fantasy. So they see that there's a part of you in the past where you were really prone to giving into illusions and fantasizing and having rose-colored glasses and ignoring red flags and how you've grown into be somebody who is more practical, and how like it's probably still an ongoing battle. This might be something that you struggle with for a long time, even into the relationship, where it's kind of like you have to kind of mentally check yourself. Like, am I doing something because I'm seeing the truth of it, or am I doing something because I am being fueled by delusion? We got the 7 of Scrolls in reverse with the 9 of Mirrors. And the 7 of Scrolls in reverse can talk about coming to the, oh my God, oh, I get it. Because here they didn't know how you felt about them. And you're admitting, there's a perspective where you're admitting like, no, I kind of liked you the entire time. There was this one guy I messaged on Facebook like 10 years ago. He was a kid who, I mean, he wasn't a kid when I messaged him 10 years ago. We were both adults. We graduated high school, like from the same high school at the same time. But he, going into high school had been so hard for me because I was really bullied in middle school and elementary school, and this dude was like so nice to me. He would always be like, oh, look, there's Amber, like, she can read Shakespeare, she understands Shakespeare, she's so cool, like, and he would compliment me, and at first I thought he was just being sarcastic, but like, he was just a genuinely supportive kid, and he was so sweet. And I messaged him as an adult, and I was just like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I just want to say thank you for the way that you treated me. And he was like, oh, Amber, it's so nice to hear from you. I always thought you hated me. And I was like, what? No. I was just like severely depressed. So like, I just didn't talk to anybody. But no, I always appreciated you. So I think later on, as your relationship progresses, there's going to be a truth revealed where you're like, no, person, like, I always thought you were cute. I always wanted to talk to you. I always liked the attention I got from you. I was really cautious. I was concerned. I felt like I had to be careful. I wasn't fully healed from a situation. So there may be a point where they're feeling like, yeah, this is how I won group 2 over. And you're going to be like, fool, listen to me. I always had a thing for you. And here we got, they're going to see that when you feel comfortable, you do take action, right? Like, more inclusive action, because once again, we have this initiator card here. Like, I move forward because I know that things aren't going to change unless I do that. But the first house is all about how we present ourselves into the world, and it's in reverse. And so I think they start to see the areas as time goes on where, when you start to gain more confidence, or you feel more emotionally balanced, or you're more comfortable in a situation, especially like if you're shy, once you get into a situation, they start to see even if it's just with them or with other groups of friends. Like maybe they see you around your group of friends, right? People that they may not have known beforehand, and they see like you're a totally different person. You know, you're happier, you're goofier, you initiate things more, you're more confident. So they realize that there are different sides to you, right? Like this may be legitimately, you know, parts of this may be an accurate representation of who you are, but like there are things you feel confident in, and there are things that help you feel confident, and there are people that you feel confident around, and you're more playful, and you're more direct, and you're more open and creative. So what messages will they be getting? Worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. They're going to stick around, group number 2, because there's going to be some hesitation, I think, on your part, and they're going to be patient with that. They're going to feel like, no, there's something about group 2. There's something about group 2 that's worth waiting for. You know, maybe they've been kind of quick to dismiss relationships in the past if they felt like people weren't more receptive to them, and they're just like, I can't do that with group number 2. There's something different. Rekindle. Every relationship has those magical moments that can be rekindled. Let's talk about first impressions. I don't know, if y'all have been broken up with somebody and they come back, this could be their, like, if you've changed significantly and they've changed significantly, this could be like their new first impression of you. I don't like want to get anybody's like super big hopes up, but it's possible. But I think it's also like there's going to be moments where they figure out how to refresh the relationship. Like this is one that they don't feel like giving up on. And maybe they've done that in the past where it was like relationships, if the flames seemed to go out, things got too comfortable, or there were too many problems in the past, maybe they just gave up, threw their sticks in the fire, and were like, all right, let's go somewhere else. But I think in this connection with you, they're going to be like, no, like, I really want to work things out with group number 2, excuse me. I want to get through whatever difficulty we're having or whatever slump we're having. And it could be too that like if you guys go periods where like you're not really talking, or there's just kind of a lull, like if you're casually seeing each other, or if they're like it hasn't even gotten official, like maybe you're not going out on dates, you're just like talking. It's kind of like every time there's a lull, they're like, I need to check up on group number 2. Like I don't want this thing to die out. So if you're particularly hesitant, I mean, I'm going to say that you do like this person, even from the very beginning, but you might put up barriers, you might put up roadblocks, you might be hesitant to get too deep with this person, or to establish a solid friendship even. They're still going to pursue it. And then we've got 1515 with the big break, innovation, focus, creation, progress, forward movement, skills, and goals. An opportunity, help, extra cash, or other support is coming your way, so keep going and have fun when performing your tasks. The most tremendous success comes from passion. All efforts will be rewarded big time. So you may meet this person. The two of you may encounter each other when you're having fun performing tasks, right? Doing what you love, or going to do things that you enjoy. And seeing 1515 can be a sign for one or both of you that you're getting closer to meeting this person, to meeting each other. But remember, all efforts will be rewarded big time. So group number 2, this is where I'm going to leave your reading. If you enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up. If it resonated, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you would like to be a part of the family, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you'd like a private reading, just send me an email. My address is listed in the description box down below, and I'll send you a list of my services. Bye. Group number 3, if you chose the Serpentine Stegosaurus. then this will be your reading about the first impression your future spouse or long-term partner has for you, of you. Just because there were some unexpected energies in the companion reading of this, I just want to clarify this is a first impression. Could be positive, could be indifferent, could be negative. But, you know, sometimes like a first impression is when we don't have all of the information of somebody and we don't have that experience behind us, right? So this is just kind of a fun way to see how someone may perceive us if it doesn't align with how you feel you represent yourself, or if other people in your life can't confirm that this is a vibe that you give off, but like you're not satisfied with it, then I wouldn't worry too much at all. Otherwise, I hope that this is just kind of fun and lighthearted. So we have card number 49 with 11th house and community. We have card number 15 with the communicator. I remember that my words have multiple meanings. We have card number 50 with the Bardo. Card number 24 with self-love. Card number 35 with destiny path. Omnia unus est. So they see you first and foremost as somebody very powerful. Group number 3. The Bardo is the energy of just kind of accepting everything as it is and not shying away from the darker aspects of life, right? It's somebody who holds space for all types of people. You know, we're seeing a lot about community communicator. So you might be somebody who does have a large presence, or you may integrate with a lot of different kinds of people, right? You may integrate with like very conservative people, and then turn around and you might integrate with people who are very like liberal minded. You could go from being around individuals who are completely like anti-religion to being around people who you know, the pinnacle of their life is their faith. You know, people who are very careful to dress what they consider modestly versus people who may dress in a way that is more revealing. There's just something about you being incredibly open-minded and being able to make space for all walks of life without having any judgment. It's kind of like you're somebody who can listen to differences of opinions and you don't really get triggered by it. And I don't know necessarily why that would stand out to this person. You know, maybe in the communication between the two of you, when you two first meet, you find out that this person holds a lot of very different values or beliefs than you, and you're just not like fazed by it, right? Or maybe they see you in a setting where you are interacting with a lot of people, or with people who have experienced a lot of darkness, right? You know, talking to veterans about their war experiences, or talking to individuals who were on the streets about what that life has been like with them, talking with people who've been struggling with addiction. They see that you just kind of have an open space for all walks of life. And really, they're in awe of you, right? There's this confidence that you exude, where it's almost like no darkness can touch you, at least from their perspective. And sometimes when we meet somebody that we're attracted to or we admire, we do place upon them this idea that like they're just incredibly confident and untouchable, and they may not be feeling that way, but this is how this person sees you. They see that you have a lot of compassion for others, but also for yourself. Possibly that, you know, you're willing to admit mistakes or shortcomings, and that the fear of exhibiting humility doesn't exist within you, right? That doesn't hold you back. You're just like, I'm just a person. I make mistakes, I have my flaws, and that's part of the experience of life. I do also just see like almost like Aphrodite in this image. We are talking about self-love. So I think they put you on an extreme pedestal. Like they look at you and they are just stunned by your image. They see you as a god, a goddess, an ethereal beauty, or attractiveness. And they feel like you stand in your own power. There's this feeling of like, don't mess with group number 3. Not that you would necessarily do any harm to anybody, but in the book they talk about like the king snake and how it's non-venomous, but it can eat substantially larger snakes that are poisonous without any problems. And the necessity to have bees to pollinate, to spread the seed of other plants and to nurture and nourish the earth. How this is the image of the philosopher's stone and, transmuting energy from one thing to another. And this being like the all-seeing eye. They may see you as somebody who has a lot of power. Maybe a lot of power in the community. It could be how they recognize you. Maybe you have a high standing position. You could be very well known in your employer, like, your job, right? Like maybe you're a supervisor, a CEO, a boss, a manager. You could have a very prominent career, being an attorney or being a doctor. You could just be a very respectable face within the community, somebody that interacts a lot with your neighbors, has a good reputation. You could be a police officer, a firefighter, even like a teacher, professor. But it's almost like they feel kind of like if anybody does you wrong, the universe kind of works against them, right? Like you are just so confident in yourself and you're so evolved that you're protected. They could see you as somebody who is into like spirituality or witchcraft or some type of religion, and that you've really connected with the source of that faith, right? The source of that belief. Like, I'm not fucking with group number 3. They'll hex me. Or group number 3 is so protected by divinity, anything bad happens to them, like, the other person's going to get their just desserts, right? They see you as somebody who is very sociable, and possibly that you've kind of put together the community that they see you in, right? You could be a teacher who has really bonded with students, really taken initiative to make the school a better place through fundraising, getting to know parents, doing activities. You could be somebody in the neighborhood who's going around. You see someone's lawn isn't getting mowed, maybe you offer to do it, right? Maybe you offer to help paint someone's house, or you give them information for like roofers. If you are in a high position within your company, they see you as somebody who listens to your coworkers, even the ones who are like in positions that are lower than yours. And you really take into consideration, like, this is what creates disharmony in this environment. And so we're going to try to reduce that. But this is what seems to create harmony. This is what people say they want more of, what makes them feel good. And so we're going to try to elevate that. There's this energy of like you really wanting to create a harmonious environment, and being intentional about it. It could even be like maybe you just organize like block parties or organize events within your community to give the children something to do, or to give, neighbors or people within a certain demographic an activity to partake in, a way to meet other people. There's just something here that's kind of like about you organizing or you being part of an organization, and that you kind of have a pivotal role in how people are interacting. And they see you as somebody who's very attentive in conversations. Somebody who, you probably are a very eloquent speaker. I would say they may see you as somebody who knows how to help other people feel relaxed in social settings, but also that you're a very good listener. You know when to command attention, and then you know when to divert attention to somebody else. Overall, this is just like they have a very positive opinion of you. They're kind of in awe of you. They see you as somebody who, they could think that you have a lot of friends, somebody that might be very sociable, going out a lot, whether it's just to do like fun activities with your friends or your family, or just getting involved in like major movements, right? Like being somebody who contacts representatives, being somebody who helps organize community events, being somebody who goes to meetings about the community and provides your voice and support, right? I think they would definitely see you as an extrovert. Somebody that others would likely come to with their problems, who look to you for advice. Somebody with a lot of power, but who's also gentle. Like, I think you can hold people accountable when they need it, but I don't think you're like cutthroat. I think like the perspective is more so you know how to humble somebody, or you know how to get somebody else to humble themselves, right? Like you don't even really need to do the work, but you can set the stage so that somebody else recognizes and admits where they have been unfair, unjust, short-sighted. They see you as somebody very graceful, playful. And it's interesting because it feels like, and I didn't mention this for the other two piles, but it feels like for the companion reading that I did for this, the original one, where it was like your impression of the other person, there was kind of like a couple of piles where the energy was hesitant, right? There was one pile where the other person would like, the viewer, if they resonated with it, would have been like really excited. And the other two piles were kind of like, I don't know. And so what I feel like that signifies is that the people who are watching my videos may be cautious of romantic opportunities, largely. But in all three piles, for how the partner is viewing the viewer originally, there's intrigue, there's excitement, there's a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of uncertainty. But all across the board, it's like more of a favorable thing. Which I think is beautiful, because it shows that like even in our hesitation, or because in this, I don't feel like you necessarily would be somebody who's hesitating towards a connection. But I think you stand enough in your power where you're like, I don't really need it. At least at this point in time, when you meet this person and they're observing you, there's this confidence that you're radiating where it's like, I'm good with or without it. And you may not feel that way now, or that may have been something you struggled with in the past. But doing this reading has been kind of interesting because it's kind of giving me the impression of like, y'all are drawing in people who really notice you. Right? And so like, even if they're uncertain, like even if you're uncertain about pursuing love, or you feel like I don't really need it, like the people that are watching my videos, I think, are catching the attention of people who are fairly serious about them. And I like that. I do. I was frustrated with the first, with the original video, the one about the impressions that we might have of our prospective partners, because I'm like, there are some people here who I know they're not going to like this. Like, if they pick this reading, they're going to be like, this sucks. But sometimes that's how love starts out, right? Like, we're just like, I don't know if I want this. I don't know if this person's going to be a good fit. I don't know how I feel about them. But, you know, I always aim to deliver messages that are honest and balanced. So I can't beat myself up too much over it, but I'm happier to see that in this one, there's more positive attention to the viewers than maybe the viewers may have had to their prospective partner. Anyway, let's get into why do they have this. And you know, with this destiny path, this talks about like big energy, right? So they may feel like you are a part of like their big legacy, or a big, you know, meeting you as destiny, or that you just simply have a big destiny yourself, that you have, whether they look at that as like a spiritual metaphysical concept, like, oh my God, group 3 is going to be changing the scheme of the universe. Or if they look at that from more of like a human perspective of like, this person is moving mountains. Like, they're making significant changes in their culture, in their community, politics, business. There's a lot of reverence here for you. So why do they have this perspective? We've got the Two of Stones. And we've got the Healer, the Page of Mirrors. Why does this person have this first impression of group 3? We have Gaia with the Empress in reverse. We have the Ace of Scrolls. We have the Nine of Spirals. And we have Strength in reverse. Okay. So why they have this perspective? For one, you could be curating your image or your responses, right? So oftentimes when we have roles in the public, we try to manage how we are perceived. And that's very well what you could be doing. You know, I mentioned you may not feel as confident, or you may have struggled with self-love. But in this energy of when you're meeting them, it might be that you are intentionally trying to embody this confidence, right? Could be that if you two connect directly, that you are just giving curated responses, or you're giving balanced responses. You know, when we're meeting somebody new, we're not showing them the depths of ourselves. We're not letting them always like into the struggles that we're facing or the ways in which we feel insignificant or insecure. We're giving very tailored reactions to their questions. And so I think that they're developing a part of this perception based on the information that they're seeing, the information that they're getting. And it's not that it's wrong. You know, you may have days where you feel really confident, or you may be a very important part of the community, but they may not also be seeing how other people are playing such a pivotal role in the community that you're a part of, right? Or the circumstances that allowed you to get to this level. They're not seeing maybe the insecurities that you're facing, like, oh my God, do I even look good in this outfit? Or am I going to say something that's stupid? And I think part of it too is because they've heard a lot of favorable things from other people about you. When I say favorable, I don't mean like grandiose, because we do have the Two of Pentacles here, which is about like balance and stuff. But that's signifying to me that they're hearing like you're a fair person, right? You're not somebody who is going to seek revenge on other people. You're not spiteful. You're not prideful, at least not in the ways that other people know you. And so if they're hearing these things from other people, that's the image that they're shaping of you as well. Like, wow, you know, I've heard nothing but good things about you, group number 3. We've got the healer here with the 9 of spirals. I think you do help them to some extent. Either your journey, if you share your journey, helps them kind of navigate their path. If you write, like, for example, a self-help book, or you share with them like the progress that you've made, and maybe where you started, or techniques that you use to feel better about yourself. Like, oh, I use these affirmations daily, or these are the things that I prioritize every morning to set kind of the mood. You know, this is what I do when I'm feeling insecure or whatever. This is how I self-soothe. They see that as enabling them to heal during a difficult trial. You could be supportive of them as they're struggling through something. If this is somebody at work, you know, you might offer them encouragement. You might bring them snacks. You might say kind things to them, or say silly things to kind of get their mind off the struggle. You might be an ear that will listen to them. And they might not be used to that kind of support from other people. And overall, I do think that they look at you as somebody who can potentially help them through a struggle, help them through a divorce, help them through a move, help them through a job loss, help them with maybe, you know, a struggle in confidence. They feel like you're a really nurturing person, or maybe they've seen you do that for other people, right? They've seen you console other people. They've seen how maybe you give back to the community. Maybe they know that you donate to charities, or you're going around gathering signatures for some kind of proposition or movement. Maybe they've seen you give money to somebody who was struggling, or like offer food to somebody. What's this Empress in reverse with the Strength in reverse? I'm getting for some of you, it's because they have this impression because we've got the Four of Scrolls in reverse, and that talks about like coming out of hibernation. It's almost like they're trying to come out of a habit of pursuing or maintaining relationships with people who aren't considerate or who aren't attentive, maybe domineering. And so because they see something about you, it's that to them signifies that you are a balanced, compassionate, communicative person. They may feel like they can learn from you, or that you can be what they need. I would caution you with that. Certainly we want to nurture people. We want to be supportive. But this person might have the idea that like all they need to feel good about themselves is to have that kind of love and support, and there's maybe deeper issues that they really need to address within themselves, and not kind of put you on that pedestal, because that can be very exhausting and it's not fair in a relationship dynamic. I know that I've had partnerships where people kind of saw me as that, and I fed into it, and that's one of the things I'm learning about myself, is where I felt good making other people feel good, which is great, but it was kind of like I saw that as my purpose, not recognizing that if somebody doesn't truly feel good about themselves, and if they're not working on it, then me kind of making my purpose of just lifting them up can be damaging. And it can be just as toxic. And then they get into the mentality of like, this person can give me so much, but they forget to like return, right? Because they're just focused on how can I feel better about myself. I'm not saying that this is what that's going to turn into, but it does seem like this person is idealizing you a lot in the very beginning, but that's natural, right? That's very natural. I think for some of you though, it's also like they see that you don't pour into things that are harmful to you or that aren't making you grow. It's just kind of like you don't waste your energy on that. If there's not a mutual benefit there, or if there's disrespect or harm there, I'm sorry if you heard me burp on camera. I really tried to hold it in. Then anything that you feel is neglecting you, they see you as being somebody who can kind of slough it off, right? Like, you're not wasting my time with that. So how does their perspective shift or maintain throughout the connection? The Nine of Stones in reverse with the Eight of Mirrors in reverse. The Eight of Spirals in reverse. Look at this. The Eight of Scrolls in reverse. Death in reverse. And the Four of Mirrors in reverse. I would say there is a significant perspective change. Oh. The Nine of Stones in reverse. Let's get some clarity on that. Oh, okay. They see that you either have a natural ability to feel this way, or it's something that you've learned, that you're just not bothered. You know, you're not... Like, you're not weighed down by an insecurity of yourself, right? Like what your value is. You're not bothered by connections that haven't worked out. You don't feel the need to chase. You don't feel the need to prove your worth. Can you teach me that, please? And also, like, if you're not good at something, it doesn't seem to faze you. You know, either like you just admit, like, hey, I have my mistakes, as we talked about. Or if something just really isn't working, you don't pour all of your energy into that. You're just like, I'll go into something else. You know, there might be somebody else who's a better fit for this. It does feel kind of like a separation of ego here. Like you don't necessarily care what people think. Or you know that at the end of the day, even if it does bother you a little bit, you understand that perceptions are not necessarily reality. You're just kind of able to let things go more easily, I think, than a lot of people are. But then we've got this conversation here of like staying stuck in something that doesn't change. And what's that about? The Three of Scrolls in reverse, healing. Just this constant energy of healing. And that might be something that they notice about you, is just that you're always working on self-improvement. And that can be tough for people sometimes, or it can be admirable. Depends on the person that's observing. You have a very interesting energy, group number 3. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a lot of air elements in your chart. Maybe even in your Pluto. That's just really curious. Like, I feel like on one hand, they feel like they can't get on your level. It's almost like this feeling of like, every time I try to catch up to them, they're at a different point. The 10 of Mirrors in relation. 10 of Mirrors in reverse. Because we've got, wow, that's so interesting. And I feel like the more they get to know you, the harder you might be to figure out. The 8 of Mirrors, that's staying stuck in a situation or choosing not to leave. The Death in reverse is talking about a refusal to change, an inability to change, or the prevention of change. It could be that you're very tolerant too. Your feelings aren't hurt very easily. I can't figure this out. This is really interesting. Oh, okay. You do feel driven, I think, to help others heal their wounds. And they see that. And it's almost kind of like that. It feels a little bit like divine purpose, but it's also kind of like they wish they could pull you out of that because they don't want you to be so consumed by other people's pain all the time. The 8 of Spirals. In reverse with the 4 of Mirrors in reverse. Clarified by the Knight of Spirals and the Ace of Mirrors. So delay in releasing emotions. Okay. You do have a hard time letting go or giving up on things that you do really feel connected to. And it could be, you could be slow at releasing your emotions, which could contribute to why they have this perspective of you like always shining, being so confident. Because it's also kind of like you're always chasing a new emotion. You could have an air sign in your moon as well. It's kind of like if you are feeling badly, you don't want to feel badly, so you're trying to figure out how to switch it up. How to turn it into a positive, or what will make you feel positive. Group number 3, you're a very interesting person. The 6 of Spirals in reverse with the 10 of Stones. upright, the Seven of Stones in reverse, the Nine of Scrolls. You might be impatient with yourself. I feel like you're patient with a lot of other people, but you might be impatient with yourself. Thinking that you have to have it all figured out, or thinking that things shouldn't bother you. Thinking you can fix certain situations. I mean, if you're not emotionally invested in things, I think it's really easy for you to cut it off. But when there's something you're attached to, it is hard for you to let go. And it's hard for you to open up. Interesting. Out of everybody's, yours was probably the hardest energy. At least, I guess it's kind of a diluted energy, because like I'm looking at your energy from this person's evolved perspective. And so it could also just indicate that they're struggling to kind of understand you. Maybe you've kind of become an enigma. That they're just like, my pile 3 is a little strange. They're a little unusual. I can't quite pin them down, but I love them. You know, that kind of thing. The two of you could have very different communication styles, or just different ways of processing things. Okay, so what messages are they going to be getting about this relationship? Past life relationship. You have known each other before. I feel like in all piles there was something significant about the past. So you could very well have a past life with them. It could be there's this initial meeting and you kind of stick with them in their mind and their heart space and their energy. And then down the road, like the two of you connect or reconnect. Otherwise, it could just like you feel very familiar. You feel at like home to them. Okay, what other messages are they going to be getting? And of course, if any of these resonate with you as well, feel free to accept them for yourself. Marriage. The marriage of souls is the union of two divine opponents. Absolutely. I would say if this person has ever been like adverse to commitment, or like they got divorced, because I feel like for some of you, you won't be the first time this person has made a strong commitment to, right? Like I do feel that there's going to be a significant relationship before the two of you. And that may kind of dissuade them. They might be like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get married again. And then they meet you and they're like, hey, wifey, hey, hubby. And probably not like straight away. But there's going to be a very clear indication to them that like they want to commit to you. And I feel like that's significant because maybe they never thought they would do that. They would never find the one. They never thought that they would give it another go, or maybe it's the same for you, right? Maybe you didn't think that you would ever find the one, or that you would meet somebody that you genuinely wanted to marry, especially if you've been experiencing like hyper independence. Okay, so what else? What other message? 4, 4, 4, 4. Blessing in disguise. Obstacles, hardships, strength, building character, and experience. There might be some difficulties ahead, but you will push through. You got this. If you've been struggling or feeling lost, the winds of change will blow in your favor. If you've been suffering or feeling lost, some things may fall apart, but you're building the framework for something much better. Hang in there. So yeah, opportunities that don't work out could be leading up to this, whether for you or for them. And quadruple 4s could be significant, especially talking about building foundation and showing that like this is leading you to the person, whatever it is that you're doing. So group number 3, I hope that this reading resonated. If it did, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to be a part of the family and have not done so, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. If you are interested in a private reading, just look for my contact information in the description box down below. Send me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. All right, bye.